Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you work, there's like an invisible ceiling that's just like stuck over your head? Like you know that you're capable for more, but something is just like consistently holding you back. Most of the time, it's not money. Sometimes it is. It's not your environment, could be. And it's not even your skills. So what specifically is it that's holding you back? It's your beliefs. You set these limiting beliefs in yourself that you can't do more. You have the word can't in your vocabulary, like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do that. And the truth is, like, your brain will never let you outgrow the identity that you've given yourself. If you believe that you're worth 60K a year, then that's what you're worth. You're going to go work a normal job and just be a normal person like all the other NPCs in the world that take a 60K a year job. And if you believe that you're just not cut out for something great, then you're going to self-sabotage yourself by, once again, not believing you can build something great. All the invisible walls around your life, your limiting beliefs, these are all the ones you've agreed to live inside of. So belief is the foundation of everything, not the corny kind of belief where you post quotes on Instagram. I'm talking about the raw, unshakable conviction that says I can and I will, kind of like how I built my entire life by not just manifesting, but actually executing on having these massive beliefs and working towards every single goal, whether it's e-com, whether it's agency, whether it's selling more cars, whether it's selling more insurance, whatever it is. I, for myself, have set these very large beliefs because I just know that I am destined for greatness. And by believing that in myself, I'm going to be great. I'm going to build phenomenal products. I'm going to be able to inspire people just like you to go out there and be great. Because if I can do it, then literally anybody else can. And everything's video is going to be taking that limiting belief from yourself, those invisible walls that you're agreeing to live inside of, and how you can take yourself, think out of the box, think the bigger picture, and remove those invisible walls. So that way you have no boundaries. You can do whatever you put your mind to. You can do whatever you want and live the life that you've always wanted to live, that you always dreamed of. Because trust me, I know, scrolling through social media, you can see all these influencers, all these other people making a lot of money. They're living the life you want to live. So what's stopping you from living that life? The only person stopping you is you. And I'm going to use a few examples here. So Steve Jobs didn't have proof that the world wanted a smartphone or even a computer. He had a belief that they did. Elon Musk, once again, he believed that rocket ships could literally land themselves. Crazy, crazy thing. And like NASA and all these other companies have been building rocket ships for years. And yet here it is, Elon believing that he can do something with SpaceX and literally launch rocket ships into space and then catch them back on Earth because he knew he could. So they went out there and freaking built a vehicle, a tool to be able to do so. With the Wright brothers, they didn't know that humans could fly, yet they were the first people to create an airplane that took humans flying. They had a belief. They knew that they could do something better, and they built the airplane, which was what we all use now for our transportation needs, for obviously going and flying around. That's just a few people, Wright brothers, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, like Larry Ellison. He knew that he's going to be the best in data, the best in building these savage companies, a freaking savage himself. Never had any limiting beliefs. He always knew that he is better than everybody else. He wants to be the best, so he will be the best. If I think somebody's going to be better than me, then they're going to be better than me. Then I'm limiting myself to being better than them. So belief comes from evidence. Evidence only shows up after you've acted on a belief. And if you don't believe, then every opportunity looks smaller than it really is. You talk yourself out of things before you even try. An example for myself is like back in gymnastics or baseball, like I was always just so scared to perform, whether it was for a competition for gymnastics or it was for baseball, like going to games, playing these big games. Even though I was one of the best in baseball, I was just nervous. I was scared to show out and possibly do something wrong. And my limiting belief was, what if I do something wrong? What if I can't perform the way that they want me to perform? And so I was limiting myself to not being able to perform the way I wanted to perform because I put that in my subconscious as it's a possibility that could happen. Like, what if I can't hit a home run on the first swing? What if I can't run to first base fast enough? What if I can't steal a base easy? And what if they just catch my ball? What if? There's so many what ifs, so many can'ts. And so I learned early on in gymnastics, this was a pivotal moment in my life. I had this teacher or this coach at one point, and this was for like not even gymnastics, it's actually for track or trampoline and tumbling. Just learning some more tumbling skills because I used to be really good. And I wanted to learn a backflip. I didn't want to listen to what my coaches had to say, but I was always just so scared of learning a backflip. I could do it on trampoline. I could do it anywhere else, like that involved bouncy pads, essentially, like even on mats, but I couldn't do it on the ground. I couldn't get myself to doing it. And I was like, I just can't. I can't do it. I can't get my mind to it. It wasn't until my teacher said, can't doesn't exist. If you take the word can't out of your vocabulary, what are you left with? I can't. I can't do a backflip if I can't do a backflip. However, I can do a backflip if I can do a backflip. So then it's like, you're right. I can't do this because I'm limiting myself to not being able to do it. I can try, and just can't get myself to do it because I'm telling myself I can't do it. So by doing so, by taking can't out of my vocabulary right away, that exact day, I was like, I'm just going to push myself. I'm going to take these walls away. I'm going to get rid of this mental block, and I'm going to do it. That was the first day that I did a backflip on the ground, unassisted. And from that point moving forward, I never had any scarcity in doing things because I realized I limited myself beforehand. I'm capable of doing incredible things, and so are you. So why have I limited myself to not being able to do a backflip whenever I literally could do it? I just wouldn't let myself do that because I've lived in a world of all these invisible walls where I'm like limiting myself literally by not being able to do so. You don't know that you can't do it unless you do it, unless you try. You are your own limiting beliefs. Whatever you think that you're great for, you can go out and do. If you think that you can't do anything special or big, if you think that you can't become successful, that is 100% up to you. There's nobody stopping you from achieving what you're actually able to achieve. I study Steve Jobs, Larry Ellison, the PayPal Mafia founders, not to name them all, but I understand how these people work. They don't limit themselves to anything. They absolutely know that they're savages and they can achieve greatness. And by doing so, they're the most wealthy people in the world. They build the absolute biggest companies in the entire world, and they're better than everybody else because they know that they can be. And they strive for greatness. They strive for execution. They strive for development. They strive for getting stuff done. Let's talk about clarity and how clarity, getting a clear picture on what you want to do, creates your own reality. Most people walk through life, living a normal life. They're saying, I want to be successful. Growing up, I want to be a doctor. I want to be an astronaut. And that's great. But what does that even mean? You can't necessarily reverse engineer success, but you can reverse engineer what it takes to become successful and how you can get there. Clarity begins with being brutally specific with yourself. And so clarity means being brutally honest and specific. Not, I want more money. What clarity is I want to make $250,000 a year, working 4 hours a day, running an online business that I absolutely love. So from I want more money to an actual description on what you want, a clear direction, and then the steps to get to that point. It's not like, oh, I want to get into shape. Okay, so what do you really want? I want to be 185 pounds, lean, strong, with visible abs. I'll track it with weekly photos and weight logs. That is a clear direction. That's clarity. That's what you want. Now, write all this stuff down. I'm a big advocate for journaling. As corny and cringy as that sounds, journaling not as just like what the typical girls do by writing down, like drama or whatever. Write down your goals. Every quarter of the past 8 years of my life, I've had a journal. I don't have any currently with me. They're all in Arizona. But even back whenever I was like a little kid, or early teenager, I would write down where I was, where I wanted to be, and where I had my mindset. If I was making $100K a month on ecom, mentally, I was already making $1 million a month. So whenever I hit that $1 million a month, I was already mentally at making $5 million a month or making $10 million a month mentally. And I executed everything along the way because mentally I was already there. Physically, I was already obviously significantly less than that, but I knew I was destined for more and I knew I could get more. When you write down everything that you want to achieve, and this is everything and more, you give your brain a destination on what's possible to achieve, what's possible to work for. You start noticing opportunities, connections, ideas that you were blind to before. And now that you've written everything down, it's just more clear for you. It's not once again, I want more money, reverse engineering exactly what you want, the clear direction, the clear path you want to take yourself. It's not that I want to get in shape, don't we all? But let's write down a definitive answer. I want to be 185 pounds, once again, like I just said, lean, strong, visible abs, and track down everything. So weight logs, let's do photos, let's do the meals. That's clarity. That's where I want. So now it's reverse engineering the goal. Let's figure out how we can get where we want to be. We just defined clarity and defined what can be our reality. So how can we build what we want to be, or how can we work on what we want to be? So for the longest time, a goal of mine was to make $1 million a year, which doesn't sound that crazy in the grand scheme of things, but this is as I was early on as a kid. And I'm going to use my actual life as an example. So very long time ago, back whenever I was living in my parents' house, back whenever I was doing ecom, I was making good money. One of the products that I wanted to create was actually that little sign that's like $1 million a year, $83,000 a month, kind of breaking down what I need to make $1 million a year. This is actually the photo of it on a Louis Vuitton box, which it's going to be flipped, but I literally printed out all the letters. I made my own template and then I spray painted the black over it. And then it was like a white canvas. So that's how I created it. I didn't buy it. I had that hanging up every single day that I would wake up in my room. I would see that be to the right of me every single day. I knew that I could make $1 million a year. My dad last year, that photo's from a year ago, he sent me that and he literally said in his own words, this stuff works. I'm going to actually pull up the text to prove it to you. So this is from last year. My dad sent me this. I was working on my software at that point. And he goes, if you guys can see it, this works. Been trying to tell mom. And so that's just like living proof that everything that I say is actually how my life has been. They understand it now, and it's taken them 10 years to get to the point. So I want you to take this video, apply it to your life right now. So back to the whole reverse engineering the goal. Let's say your goal is to hit $1 million. Sounds big, sounds intimidating until you really reverse engineer like what you actually have to do in order to make $1 million. So that's, once again, like this sign says, $83,000 a month or $19,000 a week, $2,700 a day. It's math, it's quantifiable. If you're selling a $1,000 product, you need 2.7 sales a day. That's it. If you're running some coaching offer or some high ticket offer, that's $5,000 for the offer. That's only 16 clients a month, 16 sales a month to make $83,000 or $1 million a year. When you really break it down, it becomes more feasible than you might think. Now, I have spent over $1 million this year on just stuff that I've enjoyed. I've lived the life that everybody wants to live, not trying to be egotistical here, but I've worked my butt off for stuff like this. I've worked so hard and manifested being in this life, being in this position that I am in now. Now I'm able to share my expertise and my knowledge with you guys because I want everybody to be successful. I want you watching this video to go out there and become great, be the next big thing. And once you break it down, the impossible becomes inevitable. And that's as long as you stick to the process. This is why reverse engineering is so powerful. And it gives you a roadmap instead of living with a vague dream. So now you have the clarity, the definitive goal of what you want. Now you have reverse engineering how to get there. So now what are you left with? Well, now you're left with execution, how you're actually going to get there, the building blocks that are going to take you to that next point. So this is where 90% of people, if not more, are going to fail. And I say 95% or 90% because if you look at the average consumer, the average person, they're stuck in this NPC life. They're stuck in the matrix, as some people would say. They don't know any better. They want more. They just don't do anything to get more, because you can get whatever you want that you put your mind to. You can literally have the dream life that you have. You can have that dream life that every other guru or influencer has. You can have that by being great, by setting your mind to it. So let's talk about the execution of this. Belief and clarity are nothing without action. You can write your goals on a whiteboard, have a vision board of what you want. You can map out on spreadsheets, do mind maps on Miro. You can do all this fancy things. But if you don't take relentless action, then really nothing happens. It's just a goal that's forever going to be a far-fetched goal. And you're just kind of talking, or you're lying to yourself by not being able to achieve that goal because you're doing nothing for that. So the truth is, you're not going to have a perfect plan. You're going to fail. You're going to succeed. A lot of things are going to happen. You're not going to feel ready for it. You're not going to know every step in advance. By finding clarity, reverse engineering everything, and then finding a path to execution, this is where you're going to succeed. Think of it like driving at night. Think of it like driving at night with headlights. You can always see about 100 feet ahead, but as you drive, the next 100 feet reveals themselves. That's literally how execution works. Your actions will reveal the path. The planning itself doesn't. So destroying your limiting beliefs should look something like this. Along the way, that little voice will creep in, that just deep inside of you. You've ingrained it into your side. It's just in your subconscious consistently. And you're like, it's just there. It's gnawing on you. It's distant. It's behind you, but it's still there. It's always like, I'm not ready. I don't have the resources. What if I fail? I'm scared to take a risk. When that happens, first off, you need to reframe, but understand why that happened, how that happened, what happened. And once again, reverse engineer everything that I just went over, the why, the what, or how, and figure out a way to work around it. Because if you just let it happen, then it's just going to happen. You're not going to basically be able to push past that. Your brain is literally a problem-solving machine. People need to really understand what we're capable of. All these AI models, this is built by humans. Everything that you're seeing on the screen, everything that I'm holding, everything we're doing, we built all of this. So imagine what you yourself are literally capable of. And once again, instead of saying, I can't, start asking yourself, how can I? If you feed it defeat, your brain's only going to shut down. If you feed it possibility, it will start producing answers. That's literally how your brain works. Think of every single obstacle that you're dealing with or that you go through as just a riddle that your brain has to solve. So then everything becomes not just an obstacle, but really just a question of how, what, or why, and how you can solve it. And if you think of it that way, then it's honestly just like this world just becomes a freaking video game in itself. And then every level that you, let's say, win, everything that you achieve, you keep working towards the next level. And it's like a milestone. And let's say you're doing 100 levels, you're 50 levels in, but there's checkpoints throughout the way. So even if you fail on level 51, you're not going to reset back to level 1. You're going to reset back to level 50 because you have the checkpoint. You've already built all the way up to level 50. So if you fail, it's totally okay. You don't have to restart back from square one. You have your checkpoints, you have their milestones that you hit. And the bottom line is nobody is going to believe in your vision unless you prove it. Not your friends, not your family, not your coworkers, or even the closest people that are around you. People will call you delusional. People will call you a dreamer. And in the end, like, you really need to be your first believer. But it's not about just being your own believer. It's belief that's backed literally by execution, by doing it, by actioning it, by executing on your plan, your roadmap, and getting to what you want to achieve. So here's what I want you to do right now. I'm going to give you a little bit of assignment. Write down exactly what you want, where you want to be, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, 5 years. Write this down. This is really important. I do this. I literally do this. Break down everything. Where you are currently, where you want to be, obviously, in the next 6, 12, 24 months. Reverse engineer everything. Literally like fill up as much as you humanly can. Reverse engineer everything and reverse engineer it step by step on what you think it might take to get to the next level, to get to what you want, to get to that supercar, to get to that hypercar, to get to that $1 million a year offer or job or whatever you're trying to do to level up in your company. Write down every single step that it might take to get there. Execute relentlessly without waiting for permission, without waiting for the perfect timing. Just freaking do it. Just like Nike says, Nike, just do it. Because once again, the only thing that is standing between you and the life that you want is a belief that you can actually have it. So I'm going to end it with this. The question is, do you believe?